Okay, we'll call the meeting to order. Are there any items to be added to the agenda by unanimous consent?
Procedural question in and around items added, if I could.
Can you explain?
Well, I guess we'll do it now. So it's my understanding that we have two ways as a councillor to put items on the agenda. Is that correct? So there's, you fill out the form the week prior to, or you bring it to council that evening with unanimous consent. Okay. So as your time as warden, how many items have been denied? Have any been denied?
Can't remember, Jason.
Well, I don't remember any being denied, but
Okay.
I do know that I put two forward this week that were both denied,
Yes.
and I would like an explanation.
I emailed you.
You
that they
emailed
were.
me to tell me that you weren't going to
Yeah.
add it to the agenda. There was absolutely no explanation there.
You could have emailed me and asked me. The leadership one's already been, somewhat dealt with here. We've gone through a lot in the media, so I think that's done. The food bank, I told you, just email council and we'll deal with that one. So you didn't email me back, so I thought you had
I asked
done-
you, I sent it through,
Yes.
proper procedure.
Yeah.
You denied it without an explanation. So I would like to have an explanation.
I just told you now. We already dealt with, if you would have been at the meeting, if it was that important.
Somewhat dealt with.
You
it.
have a second option, use it right now.
Which is what?
You said the two options, use number 2 right now. You don't remember?
To bring it to council?
Yes.
Okay, so sure, I would like to have food
Okay.
banks added to the agenda. I would also like to have the Women's Leadership School added to
Okay.
the agenda.
Unanimous consent? Well, I guess it's done then. For both of them, or do you want to do one at a time? Both?
Please.
So it's no for both? Okay, so it's done. Any more items to be added by unanimous consent? Okay, need a motion to approve the agenda with I guess there's no items. It's been moved by Councillor Boucher. Is there a seconder? Second by Deputy Warden Martel. On discussion. Questions called. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Motion carried. On to item 3, which is the review of the minutes for January 13, 2020.
I move the minutes of the January 13, 2020 minutes as circulated.
Okay, it's been moved by Deputy Warden Martel. We approve the minutes for the Committee of the Whole, January 13, 2020. Is there a seconder? Second by Councillor Boucher. On discussion. Questions called. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Motion carried. Item 4, which is the Eastern District Planning Commission. I believe someone's here for that? Okay. 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 You can state your name.
My name's John Martin. I'm a building inspector with the Eastern District Planning Commission.
Okay.
So this is related to a cleanup order that was issued and was appealed to council. I'll just give a brief overview of the file, and then I believe someone here has probably received the appeal. So the property in question is at 443 Black River Road. It's a cleanup order for vehicles primarily. So the property was inspected in January following a complaint we received. And we were in contact with the property owner who indicated he was complying and had a plan to remove them. Eventually, kind of discussions fell through and we received some follow-up complaints, and therefore following those complaints, we reached out again a few times and were unsuccessful. So a cleanup order was issued on January 29th, 2020. As soon as the cleanup order and letter were delivered, we did hear back. I guess I'd had a different phone number for the property owner. So that might be partially my fault, but nonetheless, the cleanup order was issued and then appealed by the property owner. This is a copy of the cleanup order that was posted at the property, and the cleanup order is really a preliminary cleanup order, kind of a phase one for just the 5 vehicles closest to the road. Basically we only wanted to issue an order for the vehicles that we could access to remove to enforce the order, but in the spring, a full order will follow for the other vehicles that remain on the property. And these are just a few photos of the property to give an idea. So as the file stands now, the cleanup order has been issued and subsequently appealed. So I guess that's where I end and you guys go.
Councillor Boucher, your mic.
I know that property very well. I was out there, and the 3 or 4 cars he's got out front are probably the best cars he got in the whole property. I'm going to make a motion to give him an extension until June. He would clean up his property, because I don't want him going in there now and removing 3 or 4 cars and leaving a mess in there again. And so I'd sooner wait until June and have him pick up the whole thing at once. We issue one order, keep an eye on it to make sure that, in 2 weeks' time, is everything cleaned up. He informed me that he bought another piece of land, and he wants to move some of the good ones over there. Junk dealers always tell you the same thing, you're going to move the good ones, but, But anyway, the guy was in an accident at St. John Refinery in the explosion, and really, he's not very healthy right now to do anything, so I will make a motion when we're finished here to give him some time. Thanks, John.
Any more comments?
Yeah, just, John,
Oh, sorry.
no, that's fine. So you might understand that the order was issued just in waves. So wave 1, X amount of vehicles in one spot moved, and then so a little bit time down the road, more vehicles moved, and then getting to potential structures on the property.
Yeah, the order was issued in that way, just like I said, for enforceability. So we basically issued orders for all the vehicles that we could reach with a logging truck and grab without removing snow. So to your point, we will have to issue another order for the rest of them, but that will be done, and the structures on the property.
The
yes,
gentleman's losing $100 a piece on those vehicles, and no doubt we're going to end up picking them up anyway and send them to scrapyard, but, I don't want to see him lose money right out front. We'll pay to clean up some of the back properties. So, the way I look at it.
Okay, so you leave your mic on, John.
Sorry.
Okay, so what we'll do, the 14-day notice on this will be extended. Is that your motion, to extend for these 5 vehicles?
Yes.
Or for the remainder of the
15th
property?
Till the 15th of June.
Till June 15. Okay, there's a motion, if there's no more comments, there's a motion on the floor to extend the cleanup order that was issued January 29th for 14 days, extend it to June 15th of 2020, and it's been seconded by Councillor McLean. On discussion. Questions called. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Motion carried.
Thank you.
Jonathan.
Thanks, John, for doing your job, but, these guys here have medical problems. It's a different story.
Yep.
Thank you.
And the owner wasn't here, right? On to item 5, presentations. The first one will be the Cape Breton Partnership, an update. Carla. And Jeremy. Okay. Thanks. One's for me?
Yeah.
Just hit your, okay, whenever you're ready,
Can you hear
Carla.
me?
Yep.
Okay. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak here this evening. As the warden mentioned, my name is Carla Arsenault. I'm the president and CEO of the Cape Breton Partnership. I do have a few members of the broader partnership team here with us this evening. Mickey, Shannon, Kate, Jessica, and as everyone knows, also Jeremy Martel, who's joined us here this evening. So I'm very pleased to be here. The Cape Breton Partnership, we're in.
Okay, good. Keep going.
The Cape Breton Partnership is in Cape Breton's nonprofit economic development organization that focuses on three things: promoting Cape Breton Island as a great place to live and invest, growing a culture that values and celebrates creativity, innovation, and entrepreneurship, and connecting entrepreneurs and companies to the resources and tools that they need to be successful. Here is a look at the current Cape Breton Regional Enterprise Network model. In the green, we have the separate REN, which is the CBRM, but in the other areas, sort of the brownish-green color, we have the Cape Breton REN, which is the municipality of the counties of Richmond, Inverness, Victoria, Town of Port Hawkesbury, and the 4 First Nations communities of Membertou, Eskizoni, Wagmatcook, and Wagama. To start off this evening, I wanted to share some updates on some of our key priority projects for this year. The first, as you know, we launched our island-wide growth strategy this past year. We officially launched it in July, and we held a formal public launch in October. And Group ATN, who's the consultant that was hired to conduct the study, has been holding engagement sessions throughout the fall and winter months, and I know Council had an opportunity to meet with them earlier this winter. The final draft should be ready by the end of March, and you'll receive copies of this document once it is finalized. This is an island-wide economic development strategy. The island hasn't had one since about 2011, which was the prosperity framework. That was the previous document. So really looking forward to having that, and we'll circulate it to all of our municipal and First Nations partners on the island. We're really hoping that that plan becomes sort of that island-wide framework or guiding footprint that we use over the next 3 to 5 years as a region. The second project I want to talk to you about is called Welcome to CapeBreton.ca. This is a tool that we created, an online website that we created last fall. It's essentially a one-stop shop for anyone interested in living, working, studying, investing, or visiting Cape Breton Island. So until this tool was launched, really the only tools available to us as a region were really tourism-related sites. So this is sort of a one-stop shop for anything, whether it's related to how you move here, how you invest here, and so on. Another important tool that's been part of this has been the creation of an e-book. So everything you need to know about how you can move or become part of our beautiful island is part of that. We continue to make updates to the site, and we continue to add data as we go forth over the next number of months and years. I would encourage, the municipality to utilize this resource, or any community groups that want to promote Cape Breton. We can add additional content, and people are welcome to link that to their site, particularly with doctor recruitment efforts. This could be a good informational tool for you to share, particularly the ebook. And the third large project that we've been involved in this past year, something that's come up time and time again over the last number of years, is that as an entrepreneur here in Cape Breton, there are a tremendous number of tools available to us, but no one has any idea where to start. There's never been a one-stop shop or one place that people can go to get that information. So last fall, we launched a website called entrepreneurcb.com, and that tool is available for anyone who lives on the island and wants to know about the host of programs and services available to them, regardless of whether they're looking to start up a business, grow a business, whether they're looking to sell a business and whatnot. So there's a tremendous amount of resources there. We encourage you to, again, share that with residents of the county, and And we're continuing to make updates to that site. So if there is information that we have missed, we would welcome that feedback as well to make sure that we can get the content updated. Another topic I wanted to update you on was around the work we've been doing in immigration. So as you know, immigration is an important part in growing our population, which is an important part of growing our economy. We have, in this past year, we have signed a memorandum of understanding with the federal government to become a global skills strategy partner. So we do referrals for very high-skilled labor jobs. We have been working on another program called Mobilité Francophone, which is a program where we can bring in workers on a more temporary basis and match them with employers. We have been working with an organization called ANAPEC, which is an employment agency that is part of the Moroccan government. So we've been working with some companies around Cape Breton Island specifically to bring in workers from Morocco through this partnership that we've signed with ANAPEC out of Morocco. And we're now, the idea is that they will come to Cape Breton Island. If it works and they really want to stay, their employer wants them to stay, then we'll transition them into another immigration-related stream like the Atlantic Immigration Pilot and keep them here long-term. We are also trying to pilot that same program with Tunisia as well. So Morocco and Tunisia have Francophone speaking individuals who would be an excellent fit for some of our Francophone communities, including here in Almadam and in areas like Cheticamp. The Atlantic Immigration Pilot, I'll speak a little bit more about that next. The Cape Breton Local Immigration Partnership, or the LIP organization, that is administered by the partnership, and we have a staff member who manages that program, but it is led by a 28-member council, of which Warden Marchand sits on that group representing Richmond County. And they are doing, the purpose of that group really is to look at creating more welcoming communities for newcomers. So they've run a host of different initiatives from, English conversation series at the libraries to right now they're working on a project where they're creating signage at the airport. When you arrive at Sydney Airport, there's a huge wall there that will now have some beautiful signage there to welcome them to the island, and a host of other initiatives. The Cape Breton Connector program, we've hosted a series of events across the island for Connector, and that's where we connect either recent graduates or newcomers to the area with people in their field who are deeply rooted and have deep social ties with their industry and their community to help them find work. We've hosted events in this municipality and all across the island, and it's a program that continues to grow across Nova Scotia. And youth retention, we organized an event last October in Badek for all Cape Breton schools. So we had about 80 students and about 30 employers that spent the day talking about how those students can have careers and choose to live and work here in Cape Breton Island. And there were a number of Cape Breton schools, Richmond County schools that participated in that island-wide initiative. Specific to the Atlantic Immigration Pilot, I have some numbers up here, and this is to give you a flavor. The top four statistics are island-wide, and that is, and then the bottom is specific to Richmond. So the Atlantic Immigration Pilot program is, it's a little bit different than the other immigration streams in that it is targeted towards employers. So the idea is to help address labor shortages. Companies become designated to receive the workers, and then they, once the candidates are identified, they become endorsed and ultimately work towards permanent residency here. So we have 172 designated employers on the island, so there's 172 companies in Cape Breton that have become designated to receive workers, and of those there are 219 endorsements supported for principal applicants, plus family members. So that 219 has a ripple effect of, 300, and I forget the exact number, but it is between 300 to 400 new people for Cape Breton Island. And the permanent residency admissions was almost close to 100% increase over the 2-year period from 17 to 19. Richmond specifically, we hosted a number of events where we reached about 100 different stakeholders and decision makers. And the PR admissions stood at 15. So that means there are 15 individuals who have chosen permanent residency here in Richmond County specifically. It is a decrease over 2018 where we had 25, which obviously is a little bit disappointing for us, but we look forward to continuing to work with the companies and the individuals to help grow that number. Here, the next slide shows you a more specific detail of where the Richmond numbers have gone with respect to permanent residency. So only the federal government controls who can become a permanent resident and enter Canada. So these statistics are a bit beyond our control. We work with getting the companies designated and the individuals endorsed, and then from there, the permanent residency process is led by the federal government. So in 2015, you had 10, went down to 5 the year later, then up to 10 again. Last year was a record year with 25, and this year settled at around 15. So we think that there's an opportunity to grow that number, and we certainly look forward to having the opportunity to do that here in Richmond. Women's entrepreneurship. We have been running a program for the last couple of years with the status of women around addressing barriers to women in entrepreneurship. So we conducted 2 studies this past year, which you would have received copies of a few months ago. And then in January, we launched a pilot program for micro-lending for women entrepreneurs in partnership with the Sydney Credit Union. So it's a 3-month pilot. We're coming near the end of that pilot, and we'll be evaluating its success and looking at next steps and how we move forward with that program. Elevate Magazine. Jeremy handed out the latest copy of our Elevate Magazine for you. This is Cape Breton's only business magazine. It is a product of the Cape Breton Partnership. We do it in partnership with Saltwire Media. And so we write the stories, we determine the themes, we have the photographs, and the next issue will actually be coming up within the next couple of weeks, and that whole issue is focused on exporting. So there actually are some Cape Breton, the whole magazine is focused on Cape Breton companies that are exporting, and there are some Richmond County, I believe Port Hawkesbury paper has a large feature on it in the next edition. Creative economy, as you know, this is a new area that we have been focusing on specifically because its economic impact in our community. Culture represents, I believe it's the 8th largest sector in the province. And we have been doing a host of things, including most recently we hosted a Creative Economy Leaders Workshop February 20th and 21st at the Gaelic College. And later this month we're hosting a Creative Minds event in St. Peter's at the Bedore Lakes Inn. I believe that's March 31st. So there's storytellers including Adam Cook and Craig Phillips will be there, with musical guests including David Stone and Wendy Owens Abbott. The idea really is to help support and grow the creative sector. We have a tremendous number of artists and artisans all across Richmond County and all across Cape Breton Island. So it's looking at how can we help and support that sector moving forward. The Dream Business Program, this was a program we've ran the last couple of years. It's a 6-month program. It's a partnership with an organization at Bridgewater called Mashup Lab, and the program helps to support aspiring entrepreneurs. It includes business training with an entrepreneurial boot camp, one-on-one coaching, peer mentoring, pitch events, and we actually last summer hosted one of the pitch sessions in St. Peter's at the Marina. We've had 6 cohorts to date. And 10 starting with 10 participants per cohort, and the 7th one is now underway. So that's 70 new entrepreneurs that have been accepted into the program, and of which I think there was 100 or so applicants since we started in 2018. So 70 new startups, success rate about 50%, which is actually pretty good for new startups. And that program continues with this last cohort that's underway at the moment. And those companies have come from all across the island, including Richmond County. Some Richmond-specific initiatives. We are finalizing a Richmond County community profile document, which will profile a lot of those basic investment type information that people would be interested in with profiling the municipality. We'll be providing that to Dawn and to make it accessible and available on your website, and to any companies who would be interested in using that tool. The Tourism, Labor, and Seasonality Project, which I'll speak to in a minute. Some business advisory sessions. So we hosted one in Sydney not long ago, and tomorrow in Port Hawkesbury at 10 o'clock, we're hosting a business advisory session on accounting, where we're bringing in Grant Thornton to talk to prospective or current business owners. Regulatory affairs engagement sessions. As you're aware, Emily Pond and the Office of Regulatory Affairs have been working on an island-wide project, so we help to facilitate some of that work. Point Tupper, we are in the final stages of a profile document highlighting specifically the assets in Point Tupper Industrial Park, and that will be available as well for use with the municipality. We have an export growth service program that is island-wide, and we've been working with companies all across Cape Breton Island to help them enter or grow their export market. The St. Peter's Main Street consultation, which happened, I guess, about a month ago now, and it feels like it was just yesterday. That program, a number of you were there, and we're looking forward to seeing how that unfolds. The Creative Minds series that I mentioned, March 31st in St. Peter's. Doctor recruitment, I know we have a number of folks here in the room. One of our staff members, Omar Tag-Eldon, has been part of that group in helping to provide an immigration lens to the team and be a resource there for the group. And we're also looking to host an upcoming business dinner in the region, so we're still trying to finalize some dates on that. With respect to Tourism, Labor, and Seasonality Project, we partnered with the Tourism Industry Association of Nova Scotia and Destination Cape Breton this year on a project. It's province-wide, and essentially it's been reaching out to tourism-based businesses to provide them with a series of tools and resources at either free or very, very low cost. So online training modules, HR toolkits, certifications. I believe most of these are all no charge, with the exception, I think, of a small fee for the eCornell certificates. And then a wage subsidy program. So for tourism-based businesses in Richmond or anywhere in Nova Scotia that are interested in extending the tourist season, either by starting earlier or working or staying open later in the season, they can apply for a wage subsidy through us to tie-in. So a great resource for Richmond County businesses who are looking to either open earlier or stay open later. Business planning, we have our business planning advisor, Shannon McNeil, here with us this evening. This will just give you an idea of some of the business planning files that he has open at the moment. 5 or 6 of these businesses were specific to Richmond, and I think he's got 3 open businesses that he's working with currently in Richmond today. So lots of people looking for support to help with their business plans, and it's a service that we hope to continue to grow. In terms of next steps, we have posted the position for Economic Development Officer for this region. It has been posted for a few weeks. The resumes are coming in. The closing date, actually, I believe, is today. And so we're looking forward to seeing the number of candidates that come in. Which ties into my next question, which is, so a year ago, Richmond had made a motion to put notice into the Cape Breton Wren. And so I'm here today to officially request the municipality of the County of Richmond to continue to be part of the Regional Enterprise Network program. I think that having Richmond working with all of our other municipal and First Nations partners is incredibly important to moving this area forward. As somebody who was born here and continues to have a home here, I know that Richmond County has a lot to offer, and I think that our broader Cape Breton Partnership team has a lot we can offer Richmond County. So we would like to request for Richmond to stay in the Wren moving forward.
I'll make a motion for the Richmond County to stay in the Cape Breton Wren for 2020.
Okay, that's April 1st to following March. Okay. Motion on the floor by Councillor Boucher that we extend the time in the Wren, seconded by Deputy Warden. On discussion, I guess if people have questions to ask.
Question.
Just, Carl, in one of the slides, you mentioned the 5 native reserves, but I see Eskazoni's in green. Are they part of our Wren?
Yes. Eskazoni, member
Oh, wait
2,
now, okay.
Wagmacook, and Wagama.
Yeah, okay, no. Don just pointed that out. Looked at the whole green, okay. Yeah, and there was,
We vote on the motion first.
Yep.
you want to have questions after? Okay. Question's been called. The motion is to stay in the Wren for April 1st, 2020 to March 31st, 2021. It's been moved and seconded. Question's been called. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Motion carried. So that answers the need, or the request. Is there any questions, I guess, concerning the presentation?
We didn't discuss the fees. It's 20,000, wasn't it? Or 15 or 20,000?
I thought you told me 5. Isn't that what we discussed?
Oh, that's better.
Port Hawkesbury's paying the rest.
Yeah, believe that one if you want.
Yeah. Okay, this question I had, the Atlantic immigration pilot,
Sure.
so that's only for full-time jobs we spoke
It
of.
is.
Yeah, it's not for any seasonal employment. And there's another question I had here.
I actually brought one of our AIP coordinators, Jessica, with me here today, so she can answer all
Okay.
the real technical questions.
Throw her under the bus.
Of okay, these cohorts that you spoke of in the dream business,
Mm-hmm.
can you explain that a little further? Like, you have 6 cohorts and you have
Yes.
10 participants. So is that 10 new entrepreneurs or?
So what that is, so the program, essentially, we had 10 groups of 10, or cohorts of 10. And we started the first one, and I can't recall the start date, 2018. And we basically ran them every so many months, 10 at a time. People applied from all across the island, and the accepted candidates were chosen by Mashup Labs, who ran the program. And those are people who either, had an idea or something that they wanted to pursue as a
Can you
business.
say who they were chosen by again?
Mashup Lab, which is the organization out of Bridgewater that ran that program.
And
Yeah.
they do that here,
All across the island,
all
yeah.
across the island?
Yeah. Yeah, so it
Okay.
was a free program for entrepreneurs to participate in. It ran, each of them is about 6 months or so through the program.
Yeah, and so.
6, Mickey
It's
can speak
for-
to it a bit more, yeah.
You want to come up to the mic, just so we get it on the audio? I don't mean to put you on the spot, Nick, but
This is Mickey Freeman.
Mickey?
Mickey is
Mickey,
our
okay.
innovation district project lead.
So the program is for entrepreneurs or people even with an idea, but also for growing business. So the
Okay.
mentorship actually included a variety of range, and again, applicants were taken from all over Cape Breton. But depending on which cohort you're in, the practice sessions were done and the pitch nights were done in a specific location, not
Okay.
necessarily specific to where you were from, because it was all offered online through
Okay.
by distance
Video?
with their mentors. Yeah, Mashup Lab has a long are they well recognized on the mainland for carrying out entrepreneurial programs and even co-working spaces.
Okay. The other thing, the Port Hawkesbury, or the Point Tupper profile, saying Port Hawkesbury, don't hit me for that.
The Point Upper profile document?
Yeah.
Yeah,
You say that's in the final stage?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how's it going for that?
It's going well. It's just literally like some finer nuances before we go to print. So
Okay.
there's a host of,
And we have a number that you guys, that number goes to you for the properties and that?
Yeah, the
Okay.
1-800 number.
1-800 for anybody wishing properties?
It does,
Okay.
yeah.
Any more questions? Deputy Warden?
Yeah, I'm just wondering on the immigration file, you said that for people to remain in Cape Breton full-time, it's a federal program. Is there any provincial programs? I knew there used to be some at one point. You used to have the programs in the province that would help people that had been here for a long time, even though they weren't working. Are those still available, or is it all federal now?
So, just to make sure I understand the question correctly, so the immigration streams, so there are, for anyone to come into the country, there are essentially three ways. Family, in other words, you have a family member here and they're bringing you in. That is determined by the federal government. And then there is humanitarian or refugees, which is controlled by the federal government. And the third stream is economic. And that is where many of the provincial programs come into place. So the Atlantic Immigration Pilot Program would be provincial, the Provincial Nominee Program, and there's a host of others, temporary foreign workers and so on. Who gets permanent residency? At the end of the day, all of those streams, regardless of which one you come in under, it is the federal government that makes the final say as to who becomes a Canadian citizen or who gains permanent residency status.
And how quick is the turnaround, or is there a lot of red tape like there used to be?
I think it varies depending on the program, depending on whether there were any challenges throughout the process. The fastest we've seen it, would you say?
It can be as fast as 6 months. The Atlantic
That's
Immigration
right.
Pilot is the quickest one.
Because, I mean, you used to hear horror stories about people trying to come into Canada, even though they worked, they had to be sent back and stuff, so it was kind of really disheartening, but like it looks like maybe they've streamed it a little better.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it too is making sure that the documentation is done properly from the beginning, and that there's, because quite often where the timing delays are, the paperwork wasn't filled out right, and then they reject it and send it back, and you have to start again, right? So it's I think eliminating some of those challenges.
And I
has been a
think
big part of
that
it.
some of the reasons that the Richmond count might have went down, we have lost some industries here, like Premium had lost their production plant, and things have changed, quotas have dropped. So I think that might have had an effect on bringing in foreign workers, because they were known to do that, bring foreign workers in.
Yeah, and the temporary foreign workers, again, those are temporary, so they come here, they work, and then they go back. So they wouldn't be included in that 15 number, because those are permanent residents who are now living here permanent in Canada. But we are going to be hosting a session, and I forget the date, April 2nd, here in the Strait area for employers in the Strait region who are interested in becoming part of the Atlantic Immigration Pilot and becoming designated. So if you are aware of any companies that are not part of the program currently, who are interested in looking at seeing whether that's an option for them, we will be hosting that in this region on April 2nd.
That only entails full-time work?
That specific stream is for full-time
So it doesn't work
employment.
for seasonal businesses?
No, which is a challenge, obviously, for a lot
Yeah.
of, particularly
There's
in
a lot
rural
of-
Cape Breton.
A lot of seasonal businesses.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Carla, the global skills that you spoke of strategy, is that, and you say high-skilled people, that's an immigration stream as well?
That it's essentially a referral program to the federal government, yeah, for high skilled.
Okay, so is Omar involved?
Yeah.
With that as well? Okay.
Carla, is there an age limit for these immigrants before they become Canadian citizens?
I think with the economic class that there is, but I'm not aware of the.
I don't know about the other two categories, like
The
humanitarian or
Americans
family,
can't- the
but under
Americans can't,
economic,
yeah.
I believe there is.
Americans can't become Canadian citizens if they're over 50 years old, so.
Yeah, and it's, yeah, so it does vary depending on the stream. The criteria would be different.
Okay, if there's no more questions, thank you, Carla.
Thank
You're definitely doing a lot. On to our next presentation, which is Dorothy Bernard. There you go.
So thank you for letting us present today. I think one of the most important things to know is this group has been only in existence since January the 23rd, and it was really precipitated by a tipping point in that the Kingston Centre is losing both of its physicians by the end of June. And we looked at it not only from a Kingston point of view, but from a regional point of view. And I think that was extremely important. When one piece of this system falls apart, the rest of it will fall apart. So we have there's an impact on Isle Madame, there's an impact on Port Hawkesbury, there's an impact on the surrounding areas. So we decided to get together as a group. The first meeting was a facilitated meeting, and since then we've been kind of meeting weekly and progressing to try and increase the recruitment and retention of all health professionals in this area. And the area, that's kind of a wiggly thing, but this is the general area that we're talking about in South Cape Breton. And we used South because it seemed like it was friendlier. So the members are really quite varied and do include Cape Breton partnerships. But I think the important thing is that all of the health facilities and the physician offices in this area are suffering from decreased numbers of staff or inadequate staff, and they have so that's been affecting our ER coverage, which is the thing that most people recognize, but also there are a significant number of people in the area that don't have a physician. So we really gathered together to take a proactive, positive support approach to seeing this. Right now, the focus and the request for funding is related to physician recruitment. But this is something that needs to go on for a long time. So the real strength of the group is that they actually include the whole area, because it can be viewed as a system rather than each individual group planning on their own. So it covers community to the Strait Richmond Hospital. And I think that is one strength. The other strength is we already have a foundation of excellent health professionals. And of course, Cape Breton is all the things that the Cape Breton Partnership has talked about. So the reason, the urgency for this is really related to the fact that this is going to take time. It's not going to happen overnight, but the need is going to increase as the days go by. So we do have, as a group, 4 priorities, but the priority at the moment is recruitment for physicians. And in order to do that, we need to do things like hosting visits. We need to not only market Cape Breton and this area, but we also need to market that this is a good place for health professionals to move and live and work, and that the lifestyle here is one that they can be comfortable with. And so we also need to go to conferences, and it's much easier on a one-to-one basis when you meet people in a different part of Canada to actually explain and answer their questions. So you do need to go out. You can't just do it passively through media. So what we're really talking about is leveraging the resources that we already have in the area, that we're planning together instead of fighting with each other. And we're really trying to prevent the ripple effect that the loss of 3 to 4 physicians within the next year would have on the area. So it not only affects what might come immediately to mind, that people don't have a family physician, but it also affects other things. There's an economic effect. There is the comfort of people wanting to move here. There's the effect that the resources that physicians bring with them are also lost to the community. And the other strength of working as a group is that the Nova Scotia Hospital, no, not them. They don't exist. The Nova Scotia Health Authority has the responsibility for recruitment now. And so when we work as one group in this area, they know who to contact. They don't have to contact a whole lot of different people. So those are all advantages of working together, and there are also advantages to actually being proactive and addressing this. So I don't know whether you got a copy of the budget that I sent to. They did? Okay. So what we're actually asking for at this moment in time is money that would cover marketing consultation, marketing materials, attendance at a conference in Ottawa, which is specifically for rural and remote physicians. So it is tailored to, the audience is one that we would want to attract here. Hosting a site visit. Now, the discrepancy between the amount that Port Hawkesbury, because we are sharing the budget, so the amount that Port Hawkesbury is looking at is about $1,000 less than for here, and that's because we would like a site visit specifically for Richmond County, so it would include the Isle Madame and St. Peter's and Lordways areas.
That's $1,175.
How many?
$1,175.
Your mic,
Thank you.
Councillor Boucher?
Pardon me?
Dorothy, yeah.
Because she can't add. So before I go to questions, I just want to read the letter that Scott McNeil wrote. So it has involved all of the physicians in the Strait Richmond area. So it says, to the honorable council members of the Richmond municipality, I am writing this letter to voice my support for the Cape Breton South Recruiting for Health initiative. Richmond County is currently facing a variety of challenges in providing high-quality medical care for its people, as there is a growing lack of physicians and nurses available to provide primary and emergency care. We're already seeing the effects with frequent ER closures and the growing number of people without a primary care provider. We will not see the quantitative impact of these effects on our population's overall health for a few years, but I can assure you that we are already seeing a significant number of people living with conditions that are undiagnosed and or unmanaged and are losing quality years of their lives. This is creating a situation where Richmond County is becoming an undesirable place to live and work. I know I would never move to an area where I couldn't guarantee my family quality medical care. The CBSRH group is well represented of the different facets of our established medical system. They are knowledgeable in the needs of our system and are committed to working together to find ways to meet those needs. I'm impressed at the scope and thoroughness of what they have already accomplished. Many other communities across Nova Scotia have established their own recruiting initiatives and have had success. Richmond County needs to be able to compete with these other communities for the limited pool of recruits available. And that is why I believe the work being done by the CBSRH group is essential to the future of medical care in this county. We are reaching a tipping point for our system. The longer we wait and the more resources we lose, the harder it will be to recruit medical professionals to our area. And there will be stronger drive for those who are here to seek more desirable work elsewhere. Investing in our healthcare recruiting efforts now is a key step to work towards providing lifelong well-being and prosperity for the people of Richmond County. Thank you for your time. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Dorothy. Are there any questions? Dorothy, at the first meeting stated by Annette about the nurse shortages as well and the ER closures at St. Anne's. Do you foresee that we'll be using some of this money for recruitment of nurses as well?
So at the
I know
moment,
physicians are
sorry.
priority for WB Kingston now, but
No, the physicians are the priority for the region. So there are four physician positions available. Indirectly, it will be for nurse recruitment, but no, directly the money for this ask is for physician recruitment.
okay.
But the physician coverage of St. Anne's and the Straight Richmond Hospital and is a driving force for other health professionals to come. So if they're not in place, then it makes it more difficult to recruit nurses to the area.
Okay. Deputy Warden?
It's not a question, but a comment. I certainly like to commend the committee. I haven't been attending the meeting, but I've been getting the emails. But there's a lot of them going back and forth. So I want to commend you guys for having done such a lot of work in a short period of time. And I'm certainly happy to see that people taking on the initiative to do that, because I know that the county has been doing it for a number of years. And although we've had some successes, there was steps forwards and steps backwards. So it's really great to see that that you guys are doing that. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
So I'd really be prepared to make a motion to grant them their request for that amount of money. Thank you.
Okay, when you're saying the whole thing, Alvin, or are we going to do this in bits and pieces, the whole 15,000? Because currently Port Hawkesbury, you haven't presented to them, but they're only funding the conference, right? So far.
No, they're funding half of the conference, half of the
Yeah, half of the conference.
marketing.
Okay, no, but that's all they have in this budget year is what I was told. They are going to go
Yes,
in the
they're-
next budget year, because this conference is after April 1st anyway.
yes.
So your motion is to provide the 15,000?
Yes.
Okay. And it's been seconded. On discussion, questions called, all those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Motion carried. I see some mics on. Dorothy, I have some questions.
Just a
Jason?
comment, really, not
Okay.
not so much a question.
Okay.
I know certainly you hear the words crisis and healthcare synonymous together with regards to one end of the province to the other. So I know that Richmond County is going to, and the town of Port Hawkesbury is going to have a much different look when June rolls around than it does right now. So really just want to commend the efforts of the group, and I know that there's been a lot of meetings every week and a lot of work getting done via email and all that. It's just some really, really good stuff. And as you mentioned earlier, just the fact that the town of Port Hawkesbury and folks all throughout Richmond County, everybody benefits from this. So if it starts to fall apart in one area, we all feel it. But if we benefit from one area, then we all feel that as well. So I've been very, very pleased to be a part of the group and part of the discussions, and I really hope that it continues. So thanks very much for the presentation tonight.
Okay. Jason or would someone be prepared to make a motion for Richmond to partner with Port Hawkesbury, because there's a press release going out and we haven't made that motion yet. It's been moved by Councillor Boucher. Is there a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Gayash. What's that? That's right. Yeah. So we'll be recommending it to council, but there was a press release, I think, that's being held now, so I'll let them know. So it's been moved and seconded that, well, it's just, you remember when you had brought up the issue that you didn't know that for the CP ran in January, when that announcement or press release got put out, we were sharing an EDO. I was shocked just like yourself. So this press release, I think it's been emailed out, but I just asked them to hold off because really we haven't made a motion that we're partnering together. So I didn't want anybody to be surprised when this went out. So
it's specific for this
request. Well, specific for this group, that we are partnering, so there'll be a motion that we are, so no one's surprised, and then the press release. And one important thing of the press release that we need to stress, and Dorothy has mentioned it, is the 811. I mean, people that don't have physicians, I think that will greatly help our numbers. So anybody without a physician, to dial 811 and have yourself registered. So I'm forgetting if we voted, but it's been moved and seconded. Questions called. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Okay, so that recommendation will be sent to council. Another thing is the province. Where are we with the health authority and their recruitment? Will they be going to this, or maybe someone else? Sherry, were you
Yes,
speaking?
they are.
To them or Trevor?
You mean the Ottawa meeting?
Yes,
Yes, they are. So the
they're going to be there.
NSHA.
Because I didn't make that meeting that they were down. One of the recruitment people.
Pardon me?
I didn't make the meeting where the recruitment
okay.
people from, you had that one early at 4 or something.
Yes, they are
Yeah.
attending. Yeah.
So they will be there as well?
Yes.
Okay. Any more questions? Well, Dorothy, thank you very much. Now, getting the money is not just a check being written. You'll speak to Don maybe tomorrow about that. I think
So-
I might have stressed that at one of the meetings.
Yes,
Yeah.
and so the agreement of the group is that the funding would go to
Yeah.
the Kingston Center,
Yeah. And I think I mentioned that already, so,
and that's
Yeah.
for the whole group, for both Port Hawkesbury and
yeah.
here,
So
or any
just,
funding we receive.
just
And
so I
I-
didn't steer anybody incorrectly, verify it with our CAO and Chief Financial Officer how that money will be rolled out for getting things done. Because there's an RFP closing soon for some marketing, is it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just to get that, as long as you guys are aware.
And
of how that
speaking
will-
of funding, we're also, there are different other sources of funding. So as we proceed on, we will be seeking grants that will cover some of the recruitment retention expenses.
Okay. So that means you'll give us some back?
No.
Oh, okay. I had to ask. Yeah. Okay, well, thank you very much, Dorothy. Do you have anything else to say?
Pardon me?
You have anything else?
Oh, I have a lot, but no, thank you.
Okay. Okay, we'll move on to item 6A, These are action required. So, first one's from the Eastern District Planning Commission, and it's the annual revised appointments. Should I read them?
Sure.
Okay, the building inspection. So building inspectors, there's Harry Martell and Sean Donovan. Alternates are Dave McKenzie and Jonathan Martin. Special constable, Sean Donovan and Jonathan Martin. Assistant building inspectors, Andre Sampson and Amanda Esterbrook. Development officer is Andrew Jones, and the alternates are John Bain, Wanda Ryan, Alex Dunphy, and Lewis Pope. The fire inspector is Harry Martell, with alternates Andre Sampson, Amanda Esterbrook, Sean Donovan, David McKenzie, and Jonathan Martin. Dangerous and unsightly premises. The administrator is Jonathan Martin and John Bain. The alternates are Amanda Esterbrook, and the special constable is Sean Donovan and Jonathan Martin. So we'll need a motion to accept these. It's been moved by Councillor Gayash and seconded by Councillor Boucher that we accept the revised list effective April the 1st, 2020. EDPC, is there discussion? Questions called. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Councillor Gayash? Motion carried. On to item B, which is a request. Reading that, John? Or? The request is from Pierre La Rochelle, and what he is asking for is support for the purchase of an inside leaf for their third annual guide for the previous 2020 edition to be issued that will feature Almadam on the front and back covers, and again in partnership with Budlatech and St. Peter's. The format and the content of the guide will be led by Shauna in place of Lisa for this year. They're asking for $1,000 support, and they had an attachment of what the page looked like last year. So would that go under recreation? Advertising? Okay. So the money is there for that, so we need a motion. It's been moved by Councillor Gayash. Is there a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Boucher, that we recommend to Council, I guess, the $1,000 support for the tourism guide. On discussion? Questions called. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Deputy Warden? Okay. Motion carried. On to item 3, or 6C, which is addressed to Laurier, and it's from the Almadam ATV Riders, and they would like a request. Last year, we budgeted $30,000, and this year, sorry, we're still in this year. Last April, I guess, we budgeted $30,000, and $10,000 was given to 3 bike clubs. The Almadam Bike Club wasn't able, because of weather, to get their work completed, so they're looking for an extension beyond March 31st of this year to be able to utilize the $10,000, and this is sent from the President, Tony Pierce. So they'd be very interested in getting the work done, as the weather permits. So we'll need a motion for that. Councillor Gayash.
So moved.
It's been moved by Councillor Gayash that we provide the extension to the Almadam ATV Riders.
Second.
Been seconded by Deputy Warden Martell. On discussion. Questions called. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Motion carried. On to item D, which is, want to speak to it? Clint Sampson, our revenue manager, has provided, this one's longer than the one I looked at. He's provided a list of properties, I guess, in active accounts. Some of them are duplicates. Some of them are mobile homes and things like that have been removed from properties. So I didn't think there was too many of them.
Right here.
That's the list there. So there's a list there of 8 of them, I guess, and we'll need a motion to write these off. The total amount, I think, is $3,468. It's been moved by Councillor Boucher. Is there a seconder? Seconded by Councillor McLean. On discussion, Councillor Gayesh?
One question, when he says sold mini home, does that mean outside of Richmond, or is it within Richmond and somebody else's assessment?
I think it's just been sold because, Don can correct me, the mini home has a separate tax assessment on some of these properties?
The larger account?
No, it says here deleted, sold mini home, but I'm wondering, sold, does that mean sold outside of Richmond?
Sold
or
and removed from the county.
From the county?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Does the mini home have a separate assessment?
They're assessed separate from
Yes,
the property?
Yeah.
It can be if it's not on the same property. But there's still property tax. There could be, yeah.
Well, that's the amount that's
There
owed.
would be, but they
Yeah.
may not be owed. They may pay their property taxes.
Okay, on to item E, which is a quick claim deed for the Brymer School. And I guess there's two lawyers involved, and our lawyer is saying that I guess he wants the municipality to execute a quick claim deed on this property. You want to speak more to it, Don?
Well, essentially, I think the property itself was created back in 1879 with a deed, and that's quite some time ago. And of course, I don't think anybody here has heard of the Brymer School. It may have been closed down many, many years ago. It appears to be encased in a property that these people are asking to receive a quick claim deed for through their lawyer.
That's the neighbors, right?
Yeah, I would say that there are options for them to acquire the property without coming to the county. They could probably do quieting of titles, and there are a number of ways they can do it. I guess this is probably the easiest way for them to do it, and it would likely be just as simple as a quick claim deed, basically quit claiming our interest in the property.
Are you saying that we own the property?
Well,
There's no title to it.
yeah, well, we couldn't prove title to it for sure. And of course, the costs associated with trying to basically identify that property would far outweigh any benefit for us. I mean, we'd be looking at surveys of property that perhaps would cost us way too much.
How much land is involved?
I didn't really read the description. It's very, very old.
Because they refer to 429, but only
Yeah, I think
provide
it's 426. I think that
The
was a
errors
typo.
there? Okay.
Yeah.
It's hard to read that writing.
Give it to Jerry Burke, he's used to reading those deeds.
I think the indication.
Yeah.
I think the indication here, from what I can understand, is that the school itself, Brymer School, was on the wrong piece of property in the first place.
They mentioned that as well.
That's mentioned, and I think I agree with the CAO that if we have to go through the process of getting it surveyed and get the whole process done, and even the appraisal of something that we don't know we even own.
Yeah.
And I think the quit claim aspect of it is just quit claiming any interest that we would have. And the interest could be very small. There's only a foundation there, so in my opinion, the best move is to go ahead and quit claim our interest to the property.
That's fair with me.
I would so move if that's all right.
Okay, it's been moved by Councillor Gayesh that we accept the recommendation, I guess, and that we execute a quick claim deed for whichever property it is.
Brymer School property.
Brymer School, but school's not on that, I guess.
No,
And
the school is not there anymore.
Yeah, it's been moved and seconded. On discussion,
Question?
questions call. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Motion carried. On to item F, which has to do with the roof at the Louisdale sewage treatment plant. And our Director of Public Works has come back with some new pricing. We asked about a pitched roof, so he has two options there for the pitched roof with shingles and the pitched roof with the metal roof. Those options are a little more, but
Those options include
the engineering,
all engineering, all taxes, and net of HST rebate, so that would be the net
final.
cost.
So what's the difference between the metal roof and the shingles?
quite a bit of money.
Quite a bit.
18,000.
I was
How big is the
surprised.
roof?
I was surprised. So are they going,
I think we have to look at that because
yeah, it's quite a
right
bit.
now, metal is very cheap.
Yeah.
So
They
if a
spoke of two
contractor's trying to
types.
take advantage by saying, oh, yeah, it was a big difference in the price.
Yeah.
He wants to put shingles on there, so you come back in 5 years' time to replace them.
Well, when we tender it, we can certainly give them the opportunity to put the two
Yeah.
options in.
Metal roof is warranted for 50 years.
I was gonna say, I thought it
That's
was, I thought there was two options here, but it was actually the Villa one that had the two options.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. The Villa went with a metal roof.
Yeah, but it was
because
two
it's
different types of
50
metal.
years- 50
It was
years
more
instead of
expensive.
The 25-year shingles right now are lasting 8 years, 8 years.
Okay, so we need a motion, but it's at the metal roof, and then you'll
That's-
check that.
No, I think
Well,
you go back to
that's
the
your
drawing
option.
board. I think we got time to go back to advertise it, talk to some other contractors. It's,
Okay, these are just kind of estimates.
Well, they need to do.
With the
they need to go into
15%.
The retrofitting, right, so they'll need to change the pitch angle and whatnot of the roof if they're going with metal, I believe that I read that in there, so.
The, I think the pitch could be the same, either or.
no, they have a flat roof, but if they're going.
Oh, no, they're putting
Oh,
the
going-
rafters, it's gonna be a
They're going
different,
with a 4 to 12
yeah.
and 4 to 5, 4 to 6.
Yeah, but that engineering for the attachment of the roof system of the
That's why I was
rafters
asking what the
was
size
in
of the
there.
roof is, because that'll determine the pitch.
But part of the recommendation does state that they would need to get an engineer's assessment on that.
Yeah. Okay, so do we want to, I don't know, get better estimates on the metal, or do we want to make a motion to move ahead and tender
I
this?
think he has to go back to the drawing board.
Because
The
we,
action required here, I think, if you look at it, says the municipal staff are seeking approval from council to proceed with this capital work in 2020-21 fiscal year with funding options to be discussed during budget deliberations. So I think we've got to give the staff the opportunity to go there and investigate, and the cost will be, you'll come back during budget deliberations and tell us exactly.
Yep.
so no rush in with this.
I think it's.
That's the only action he's asking for.
Yeah, I think he's looking to get some sort of direction right now, I'd say.
So that's the action he's asking for.
Okay, well, we're going to go with the pitch roof. Is everyone okay with that?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
That's the option. So the decision now is asphalt or metal.
Give the staff the opportunity to check into.
The
Give
metal
us to
price.
go ahead to do it, and then what we
Go
can do
ahead
is
and
we
do
can,
it
we can
and
contact
check
you guys
and
with
come back
some
and
numbers.
Okay, Mr. Gayesh? See your mic, but-
Too late.
Okay. Okay, so we'll need a motion. Give
So
staff-
moved that we
Okay, it's
give
gonna-
permission to staff to investigate
it's further,
the
okay. it's
different
good.
options.
Is that adequate?
Well, I think it's looking to proceed, so I think we place the tender and we get some solid numbers, and we come back to you and say, okay, these are the numbers, do we go with the pitch roof or with shingles, or do we go with,
Well, that's what the action.
The problem
Yeah.
The problem that I have is we're going outside of the county with these contractors, and I know we have rules and regulations for that, but we're getting taken to the cleaners. You know, we should be able to go to the supplier ourselves and find out what that metal cost. You know, we have an engineer on staff, he should be able to tell us. There's local contractors around here should be able to tell us how long it takes to put a roof on a building. You know, we're using taxpayers' money to go outside of the county, and I don't agree.
well, that's not necessarily the case, I mean, we haven't tendered it yet, we haven't tendered it yet, so.
No, but the history here is, you know, it's always outside. So
Yeah.
it's time.
If they provide a tender, I'm sure we would certainly consider it.
Well, I think we have to look at it very closely, and like James says, we gotta come back to budget deliberations. We wanna know exactly what he's gonna do and how much money he needs.
Yeah, that's the action that was required.
Okay,
That's the motion that I made.
so the motion is to give staff the authorization to proceed, I guess, to tender.
Yes, and come back to budget
And then
deliberation.
we'll have firm numbers on the metal or the asphalt roof. It's going to be pitched. Is that okay, Councillor Bushy?
Yep.
Councillor McLean? Okay. Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion?
Question.
Questions call. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Jason? Yeah. Motion carried. On to item, for information purposes, that's just the issue with the crosswalk that we requested. Chris just providing an update, some information. Item 7 on the agenda is the review of checks. Oop. Deputy Warden?
Sorry.
Yeah, just, I'm kind of going down the same road as Councillor Goyesh, is that I know we've got why is it that we're getting a response to say that we have to prove that there's more traffic than there was in 2016 as opposed to them doing another study? I mean, we need to kind of go further with this. I don't think that we're getting the result from this individual that we need to get this done. Because, I mean, if you look at the sidewalks now, and there's more businesses and more activity going on, that should warrant to have another study done, to find out if there's enough traffic to warrant to have one
Okay.
sidewalk,
I think that's
just
the
one
problem.
sidewalk here.
Make a motion to bring the minister down here.
Yeah,
When we had,
We're dealing with that guy in Sydney all the time. It's no, no, no.
when we had made the motion in December, Chris had sent an email.
Yeah.
Because we had asked for it a year before.
Yeah.
And I think, yeah, he was just kind of giving us information. And I thought that he said something about things hadn't changed enough to warrant a new study.
Yeah, that's what,
Yeah.
that's what
I
Chris
know,
said.
but I mean, they're just saying, they're not, how do they know that? They didn't do a study, so they're just saying that off the top of their heads.
Okay.
So what do we have to do? Have to prove that we
We don't
have
pay for
more
that study, do we?
traffic?
Did we pay for that? I don't think we,
I think we
They
should
did it.
meet with our MLA and find out, see what she
Okay.
can do to help us.
okay, well, maybe we'll make a motion to either speak to the minister or the MLA.
The minister.
Well, speak to the MLA.
MLA,
The
okay.
MLA's got no power.
Okay,
Sometimes you get that from the back benches.
okay, well, then we'll send the letter to the minister to have a discussion, I guess, concerning this issue, and see where we can go from there. It's been moved
So moved.
and seconded moved by Councillor Martel, seconded by Councillor Gayash. On discussion?
Question.
Questions called. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Motion carried. On to item 7, which is the review of the checks. So if you have any issues, item 8. There's no items added. We will be going in camera to discuss some contract legal issues.
So moved to
so-
the camera.
It's been moved by Councillor Boucher. Is there a seconder? Second by Deputy Warden Martel. On discussion? On discussion? Questions called. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. He's okay. We'll go in camera in a couple of minutes. Okay, we're back in a regular session, and we have a couple of motions. Yeah, we're dealing with the motions first, then we'll adjourn. Oh, to go back in regular session. Okay, so moved by Councillor Boucher, seconded by Deputy Warden Martel that we go back into regular session. Discussion, questions called. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Motion carried. We're now in regular session. We have one motion. Wait now.
I move that the committee
Okay.
recommend to council that Claire Rankin be appointed as the returning officer for the municipality in the election to be held on October 2020.
It's been moved by Councillor Boucher that Claire Rankin be appointed as returning officer for the October 2020 election, and seconded by Deputy Warden Martel. On discussion.
Question.
Questions called. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Motion carried. Councillor Gayesh.
Okay, I move that the committee recommend to council that Lot 6B located in the Lennox Pastures Industrial Park be sold to Neotal Health Products Limited at the appraised value determined by a market value appraisal.
Second.
It's been moved by Councillor Gayesh that Lot 6B in the Lennox Passage Industrial Park be sold to Neotal Health Products, and seconded by Councillor Boucher. On discussion.
Question.
Questions called. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Motion carried. Councillor McLean.
The warden, I'm going to declare a conflict in this motion. I'm not sure that I am, but just in case.
Well, I'm kind of wondering myself as well
Just in case.
about declaring a conflict. Situation to be put in. Sure, I'll declare a conflict as well.
I'm
in
not,
case-
there's no monetary gain for me.
Okay, so do you want to chair, or Jason, do you want to chair?
Sure, Jason.
Yes, if Jason is reading, maybe we should, I'm going to declare a
Okay.
conflict and pull back.
Don can chair it.
Don will chair.
Yeah.
I don't think I can.
Why not, CEO?
I can. You can. I think the councillor, I think the councillor has to.
I'm not allowed to make the motion and chair.
Yeah, he can't make the
No,
motion,
that's the
Chair.
thing.
Gilbert will.
Oh, you're not allowed to.
Okay, yeah. Councillor McLean, you have a motion to make? Nope, okay,
It's this one here?
all right.
I move that the committee recommend to council that the HR issue discussed in camera recommended by the appointed labor lawyer be accepted.
Second.
Question? Or discussion?
Question.
Question, yeah.
Question? All in favor? Raise your right hand. Motion carried.
Move to adjourn?
Okay, bearded one, back here.
I move to adjourn.
Gilbert did on the way down.
Okay, it's been moved by Councillor McLean to adjourn, seconded by Councillor Boucher. On discussion.
Question?
Questions called. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Meeting adjourned. I'm calling an emergency council meeting right now to address one issue. And again, I will be declaring a conflict. So when Councillor Boucher is ready. So this is going to be an emergency regular council.
And I'm with-
Councillor Boucher, you can come again. We're in,
Filming this?
yes, you are.
Okay.
This is a
Okay, just checking.
separate meeting. Yeah.
Make sure that Dick is filming it.
I'm declaring a conflict.
I'm gonna have to leave somebody from the,
Or, yeah, make sure that-
What's the next motion?
No.
What's the next motion?
Oh, so
Councillor,
we're in council now.
Councillor McLean, you have a motion to make?
Good. I move that council accept the recommendation of the committee of the whole and that municipal council accept the recommendation of the appointed labor lawyer regarding the HR issue as discussed in camera.
Do we have a seconder?
Second. Have no choice.
Discussion?
Question?
Question is called for. All in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carried. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Mr. Gayesh, seconder.
Second.
Mr. McLean. Meeting is adjourned. No, there's no discussion over that. It's over and done with.